Some secrets are louder than screams. Michael Harper learned that truth at 2 a.m., his phone glowing in the silence of his Willow Creek home, unraveling the life he thought he knew. At 38, he was a cybersecurity engineer, a man who trusted systems over people, until the system he built betrayed him with the voice of his wife, Emily. What he heard wasn't just words. It was the sound of his world cracking open. Michael had it all, or so he believed. His cozy house in the Colorado suburbs hummed with family life. Sophie, 10, sketching rainbows. Ethan, 13, plotting soccer moves. Emily, his partner of 15 years, was the glue. Charming, quick with a laugh, the kind of mom who baked cookies for school fairs. But that night, alone in his office, Michael tested his new security system. A high-tech web of cameras and microphones he'd spent weeks perfecting. He wanted to check its clarity, maybe catch the soft creak of their old oak floors. Instead, he caught a knife to the heart. He opened the app, earbuds in, expecting quiet. The fridge hummed faintly. A dog barked down the street. Then, Emily's voice sliced through, low and deliberate from the living room. She should have been asleep. Michael's thumb froze over the screen, his breath shallow. He cranked the volume, dread pooling in his gut. "He's blind to it, Travis," she said, a smirk in her tone. Michael's too wrapped up in his gadgets to see what's coming. Travis? Travis Lawson, her coworker at the law firm? The guy she'd waved off as just a pal at barbecues? Michael's pulse hammered, but he clung to reason. Maybe it was a joke, a misunderstanding. He leaned closer, the phone's glow casting shadows on his face, as Emily's words grew colder. "It's all set," she continued, her voice steady, calculated. "We pull this off and I get the kids, the house, the savings, everything. He'll be out in the cold, and trust me, he won't have a clue until it's too late." Michael's chest tightened, the air thinning. This wasn't a prank. She was plotting to dismantle his life, piece by piece. Travis's muffled reply came through, too soft to catch, but Emily's laugh sharp, triumphant, cut deeper than any blade. "Travis has the legal side locked," she said. "Michael's so predictable, it's almost boring." The call ended abruptly, leaving Michael in a void of silence. His hands shook as he replayed the audio, each syllable confirming the unthinkable. Emily, his Emily, was a stranger, a chess player moving him like a pawn. And Travis, with his easy grin and firm handshakes, was her knight. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It was surgical. He wanted to charge downstairs, demand answers, shake her until the truth spilled out. But her confidence, that icy certainty in her voice, stopped him cold. She'd expect him to explode, to give her ammunition. No, he thought, jaw clenched. If this was a game, he'd play it smarter, quieter. He saved the recording to a secure drive, his mind racing. How long had she planned this? What else was she hiding? Morning came too soon. Emily breezed into the kitchen, all smiles, pouring coffee like nothing had changed. "Rough night, hon?" she asked, her eyes flicking over him, probing for weakness. Michael forced a nod, studying her. No trace of guilt, no crack in her facade. Just the polished act of a woman he no longer knew. "Work stuff," he muttered, his voice steady despite the storm inside. She hummed, kissing Sophie's head as Ethan grabbed his backpack, oblivious to the fault lines under their feet. After Emily left for the school drop-off, Michael dove into the security logs. Her late-night calls weren't a fluke. There were others, some to Travis, others to unknown numbers. Footage from the past week showed her pacing the backyard, phone glued to her ear, her laughter light but laced with venom. One clip caught her saying, "He's so easy to fool. It's pathetic." The words stung, but they sharpened his focus. She thought him weak. That was her mistake. He pulled more data, his cybersecurity skills now a weapon. One number stood out. A contact labeled D, called repeatedly after midnight. Not Travis. Someone else. A lawyer? A fixer? The question gnawed at him, but one thing was clear. Emily's plan was bigger than a single call. She wasn't just betraying him. She was orchestrating his ruin, and Sophie and Ethan were caught in her web. Michael leaned back, the weight settling in. This wasn't about hurt feelings. It was about survival. For his kids, for himself, he'd uncover every thread of her scheme. Emily thought she'd outsmarted him, that her secret whispers were safe. But secrets, he'd learned, had a way of finding the light. And he'd make sure hers burned bright. Michael Harper's life in Willow Creek had become a tightrope walk. By day, he played the part of the devoted husband and father, nodding through breakfast chats with Emily and helping Sophie with her math homework. By night, he was a detective in his own home, piecing together the puzzle of his wife's betrayal. The recording of Emily's call with Travis Lawson haunted him, her cold laughter, her promise to take everything. But Michael wasn't about to let her win. He needed answers, and he needed them fast. Over the next week, he turned his security system into a silent ally. The cameras caught every move Emily made when she thought no one was watching. She'd slip into the study after dinner, her phone glowing as she typed furiously, her face a mask of focus. One night, Michael watched the live feed as she whispered to Travis, her voice barely audible but sharp with intent. "We need to move faster," she said. "He's starting to ask questions about the accounts." Michael's heart sank. The accounts? Their joint savings, the kids' college fund, the mortgage, they'd always shared everything. He logged into their bank app, his fingers trembling. The balance was lower than it should have been. Thousands had been siphoned into an unfamiliar account over the past month. Small transfers disguised as miscellaneous expenses. Emily had been meticulous, but not invisible. Michael's cybersecurity expertise kicked in. He traced the transfers to a shadow account in her name alone. She wasn't just plotting. She was already stealing. The discovery lit a fire under him, but it also raised a new fear. What else was she hiding? He dug deeper, pulling metadata from her calls. The private investigator she'd contacted wasn't a one-time thing. There were emails, too vague but damning. One read, "Need dirt on M. Anything usable in court." Michael's blood ran cold. Emily wasn't just after money. She was building a case to paint him as unfit, maybe even dangerous. For what? Custody? Alimony? Or something worse? He needed more than guesses. Against his better judgment, Michael hired a private investigator of his own, a discreet professional named Clara Vance. Clara was no-nonsense, with a knack for blending into shadows. "Give me a week," she told him over coffee at a diner outside town. "If she's up to something, I'll find it." Michael nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. Was he crossing a line, spying on his own wife? Then he thought of Sophie and Ethan, their trusting smiles, and his resolve hardened. This was for them. Clara's first report came faster than expected. Emily had been meeting Travis at a sleek office downtown, not at her law firm but at a private consulting space. Photos showed them laughing, heads close, papers spread across a desk. Clara's notes were blunt. "They're drafting documents. Looks like a legal strategy. Travis has ties to a judge. Be careful." Michael stared at the images, his jaw tight. A judge? The stakes were higher than he'd imagined. Emily wasn't just betraying him. She was rigging the game. Back home, Emily's behavior grew bolder. She'd snap over small things, like Ethan forgetting his cleats or Michael leaving dishes in the sink. "You're so careless," she'd hiss, her eyes gleaming with something that wasn't anger but calculation. One evening, she stormed out after a staged fight about the thermostat, slamming the door for effect. Michael checked the cameras later. She'd driven straight to the same downtown office, where Travis waited. The feed caught her saying, "If we push him hard enough, he'll crack. Then it's over." Michael's fists clenched. She wanted him to lose control, to give her ammunition. But he wouldn't. Instead, he started securing his own defenses. He moved their remaining savings to a protected account, leaving just enough to avoid suspicion. He backed up every recording, every email, every transaction to a cloud drive Clara recommended. If Emily wanted a fight, he'd be ready. But then came a twist that shook him. Clara called late one night, her voice tense. "Michael, I found something else. Emily's been meeting someone besides Travis. A woman named Diane, no last name yet. They met at a park, no cameras, no trace. I don't know her role, but she's not a lawyer. Could be a friend, or something more dangerous." Michael's mind raced. A new player? Was Emily's plan bigger than he thought? Was Diane a witness, a fixer, or worse? The next morning, Emily was all smiles again, packing lunches for the kids like nothing was wrong. "Big day today," she chirped, kissing Sophie's forehead. Michael watched her, his stomach churning. Her act was flawless, but he saw through it now, the way her eyes flicked to him, testing for cracks. "You okay, Han?" she asked, her tone syrupy. "You've been quiet lately." "Just work," he lied, forcing a smile. Inside, he was screaming. Who was Diane? What did Emily need her for? As he drove to his office, Clara's warning echoed, "Be careful." He glanced in his rearview mirror, half expecting to see someone tailing him. Paranoia, maybe, but he couldn't shake the feeling that Emily's trap was closing in. By lunchtime, he'd made a choice. He wouldn't wait for her next move. Clara was digging into Diane, but Michael had another idea. Emily loved her image, her perfect mom, perfect wife persona. If he could expose her privately, maybe she'd back off before this went too far. He pulled up an old email from her firm's charity gala, an event she was headlining next month. It was a long shot, but if he played it right, that gala could be his checkmate. As he stared at the invitation, Sophie's voice broke his thoughts. She'd texted from school, "Dad, can we have pizza tonight? Mom's acting weird again." Michael's heart ached. Emily's game wasn't just hurting him, it was reaching the kids. He typed back, "Pizza it is, kiddo," and leaned back, his mind sharp. Emily thought she held all the cards. But Michael was rewriting the rules, and he was just getting started. Michael Harper's world was a chessboard, and Emily was playing for checkmate. In their Willow Creek home, the air felt thick with secrets. Every smile Emily flashed, every Han she tossed his way, was a move in her game to unravel him. But Michael wasn't the pawn she thought. Armed with recordings of her scheming with Travis Lawson and proof of her siphoning their savings, he was ready to fight back. The question was how and when. With Sophie and Ethan caught in the crossfire, he couldn't afford a misstep. Each day tested his patience. Emily's manipulations grew sharper, like a blade she was honing. She'd stage arguments over trivialities. Ethan's late chores, a forgotten grocery list, her voice rising just loud enough for neighbors to hear through open windows. "You never listen, Michael," she'd snap, her eyes glinting with purpose. He saw it now. She was crafting a narrative, painting him as unreliable, maybe worse. One evening, she left her phone on the counter, unlocked, a rare slip. Michael hesitated, then scrolled through her texts. A message to Travis read, "He's slipping. Keep the papers ready." Papers? His gut twisted. Was she planning divorce, custody, or something darker? Clara Vance, his private investigator, was his lifeline. Her latest report landed like a bombshell. The mysterious Diane wasn't a friend or a fixer. She was a former colleague of Emily's, now a social worker with sway in family court. Clara's photos showed them at a cafe, Emily passing Diane a folder. "Looks like witness prep," Clara warned over a secure call. "Diane could testify against you, say you're unstable, neglectful. They're building a story, Michael, and it's tight." The news hit hard. Emily wasn't just after money. She wanted to strip him of his kids, his reputation, everything. Michael's anger flared, but he channeled it. Confronting Emily now would play into her hands. She'd twist his words, cry victim. Instead, he doubled down on evidence. He rigged the security system to archive every call, every whisper. One night, it caught Emily on the patio, her voice low but venomous. "Travis, if we pin one big fight on him, Diane's report will seal it. No one questions a social worker." Michael saved the file, his hands steady. She was framing him, but he was one step ahead. Clara dug deeper into Diane. "She's not clean," she told Michael at their next meet. Sliding a dossier across a diner table, Diane had a history of bending rules, fudging reports for clients who paid well. Emily must have known, banking on Diane's flexibility. But Clara had a lead, Diane's old coworker, a whistleblower who'd kept records. "If we get those," Clara said, "we can flip this on them." Michael nodded, hope flickering. It was a long shot, but long shots were all he had. Back home, Emily's act was unraveling. She'd grown reckless, her temper flaring even in front of the kids. One night at dinner, she slammed a glass down when Michael asked about her work. "Why do you care?" she hissed, then caught herself, forcing a smile for Sophie's sake. Ethan stared at his plate, silent, but Michael saw the hurt in his eyes. Later, Ethan cornered him in the garage. "Dad, is Mom okay? She's different." Michael's throat tightened. He wanted to tell Ethan the truth, but not yet. "She's stressed, buddy," he said, ruffling his hair. "We'll figure it out." Inside, he vowed to shield them from her chaos. The charity gala loomed, a glitzy event Emily was chairing to boost her image as Willow Creek's golden mom. Michael saw his chance. If he could expose her there, her perfect facade would crack. He met Clara in secret, mapping out a plan. She'd tracked down Diane's whistleblower, who'd handed over emails proving Diane took bribes. Combined with Michael's recordings, it was dynamite. But timing was everything. "We leak it at the gala," Clara said, her eyes sharp. "Maximum impact, minimum blowback." Doubt crept in as the gala neared. What if Emily spun the narrative? What if the town believed her over him? She was a master at playing the victim. Tears on cue, voice trembling just so. Michael pushed the fear aside, focusing on Sophie and Ethan. He'd found a note in Sophie's backpack. "I wish Mom and Dad would stop fighting." It broke his heart, but it also lit a fire. This wasn't just about him, it was about giving his kids a future free from lies. Then came a curveball. Clara called, her voice urgent. "Michael, Travis knows you're digging. I saw him tailing me yesterday. They're spooked." Michael's pulse spiked. Had Emily noticed the shifted accounts? The extra locks on his office? He checked the cameras, nothing odd, but the hairs on his neck stood up. That night, Emily lingered in the kitchen, watching him over her wineglass. "You're awfully quiet these days," she said, her tone probing. "Something on your mind?" He held her gaze, his voice even. "Just work, Em. You know how it is." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. The air crackled with unspoken threats. Michael knew she sensed a shift, like a predator catching a scent. The gala was 10 days away, and he felt the clock ticking. Travis's tale on Clara meant they were closing in, maybe planning a preemptive strike. As he lay awake that night, Sophie's note burned in his mind. Emily's plan wasn't just a betrayal. It was a theft of their family's peace. But Michael was ready to rewrite the ending. He'd protect his kids, expose the truth, and turn her trap against her. The gala would be her stage, but not for the victory she expected. Emily thought she'd cornered him. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The Willow Creek Community Center glittered under a canopy of fairy lights, its ballroom packed with the town's elite. Emily Harper stood at the heart of it, radiant in a navy gown, her smile a beacon of charm. The charity gala she'd orchestrated was her stage, a showcase of her role as Willow Creek's selfless mom, tireless volunteer, perfect wife. To Michael Harper, watching from the shadows near the entrance, it was a house of cards begging to collapse. Tonight, he'd bring it down. For weeks, he'd built his case. Recordings of Emily plotting with Travis Lawson, her co-worker with judicial ties, proved she planned to frame him, steal their savings, and take Sophie and Ethan. Bank records showed her siphoning funds. Clara Vance, his private investigator, had uncovered Diane. The social worker Emily bribed to smear him in court. Michael held a digital arsenal. Audio, emails, even Diane's old co-workers' proof of her shady deals. The gala, with its who's who guest list, was his moment to strike. He'd wrestled with the plan. Exposing Emily publicly could hurt Sophie and Ethan, who still saw her as mom, not a manipulator. But letting her lies fester was worse. She'd weaponize her image to bury him. Clara had prepped the delivery. An email blast to every guest, timed for Emily's speech. It contained her damning call, "Pin one fight on him," and Diane's report seals it. Plus a transcript and Diane's bribe records. Michael's thumb hovered over his phone, heart pounding. One tap and her mask would shatter. Inside, Emily took the podium, her voice honey smooth. "Thank you all for supporting our kids' future," she said, gesturing to a banner for the youth fund she barely cared about. The crowd applauded, charmed. Michael's jaw tightened. She was good, too good. He scanned the room. Travis lingered near the bar, eyes darting. Did he sense trouble? Clara, posing as a caterer, gave Michael a subtle nod from across the hall. It was now or never. He pressed send. Phones buzzed in unison, a soft hum cutting through Emily's speech. Guests glanced down, puzzled, then froze as they opened the email. Whispers spread like wildfire. Emily faltered mid-sentence, her smile twitching. "Is everything okay?" she asked, laughing lightly, but her eyes betrayed panic. A councilwoman near the front held up her phone. "Emily, what's this about framing your husband?" The room tilted. Guests murmured, some scrolling, others glaring. Emily's face paled, but she rallied, voice shrill. "This is absurd. Someone's trying to sabotage me." She scanned the crowd, landing on Michael at the door. Her eyes narrowed, venomous. "You," she mouthed, stepping off the podium. The crowd parted as she stormed toward him, heels clicking like gunfire. "What have you done?" she hissed, low enough for only him to hear. Michael stood his ground, voice calm. "I showed them the truth, Emily. That's all." Her hand twitched, as if she might slap him, but she caught herself, aware of the eyes on her. A man in a suit, Travis, pushed through, his face ashen. "We need to go," he muttered, grabbing her arm. But it was too late. A reporter, Lisa Grant, stepped forward, phone recording. "Mrs. Harper, care to explain this audio? It's circulating online already." Emily spun, her composure cracking. "It's fake," she cried, but her voice shook. "Michael's been paranoid for years. He edited it." The accusation landed flat. Guests exchanged looks, unconvinced. Lisa pressed, "And the bank transfers?" "The emails with Diane." Emily froze, mouth opening, no words coming. Travis backed away, blending into the crowd, abandoning her. Chaos erupted. A donor shouted, "Is this why you pushed the fund?" Another demanded, "What about the kids?" Emily's allies, her book club, her PDA crew, turned away, whispering. Michael watched, not triumphant but relieved. The truth was out, raw and undeniable. Emily's empire of lies was crumbling, and she'd built it herself. But she wasn't done. As security ushered her toward the exit, she whirled on Michael, tears streaming. Crocodile tears, he knew. "You'll regret this," she spat, loud enough for others to hear. "You're tearing our family apart." Some guests hesitated, swayed by her act, but Lisa's voice cut through. "The evidence says otherwise, Mrs. Harper." Emily's mask slipped fully, her glare pure rage, before she was let out. Michael stayed until the hall cleared, Clara at his side. "You did it," she said quietly. He nodded, but his mind was on Sophie and Ethan, safe with his sister tonight. Would they understand? Could they heal from this? As he drove home, his phone lit up, Lisa's news blog had posted the audio. Comments poured in. She fooled us all. Poor kids. Michael deserves better. The town was waking up, and Emily's spell was broken. Yet doubt lingered. Emily's parting threat echoed, "You'll regret this." She was cornered, desperate, and that made her dangerous. Clara had warned him. Travis's judicial friend was still out there, and Diane hadn't surfaced. Had he won or just started a bigger fight? As he pulled into his driveway, Sophie's drawing on the fridge caught his eye. A family under a rainbow. For them, he'd face whatever came next. The gala was over, but the game wasn't. The fallout from the Willow Creek Gala was a storm Michael Harper hadn't fully anticipated. Emily's public unraveling. Her lies exposed by his email blast of her plotting with Travis Lawson had turned the town's whispers into a roar. The audio of her scheming to frame Michael, paired with proof of her siphoning savings and bribing Diane, the social worker, spread like wildfire. Social media buzzed. Local blogs dissected every word, and Emily's golden image as the perfect mom shattered overnight. But Michael knew she wouldn't go quietly. Her parting threat at the gala, "You'll regret this," hung over him like a dark cloud. In the days that followed, Michael focused on Sophie and Ethan, shielding them from the chaos. He'd moved them to his sister's house, away from Emily's reach. Over pizza one night, Sophie asked, her voice small, "Dad, why's Mom so mad?" Ethan, usually quiet, added, "Is she coming back?" Michael's heart ached. He knelt beside them, choosing honesty over evasion. "Mom made some bad choices," he said gently, "but I'm here, and we'll be okay together." Their nods, tentative but trusting, fueled his resolve. Emily's next move came swiftly. A week after the gala, a process server knocked on Michael's door, handing him papers. She'd filed for emergency custody, claiming he'd harassed her and destabilized the kids. The accusations were flimsy. Her gala meltdown had cost her credibility. But Michael's stomach nodded. Travis, with his judicial connections, was likely behind the legalese. Worse, Diane's name appeared as a witness, alleging Michael neglected family duties. It was a desperate play, but a dangerous one. Clara Vance, his private investigator, was ready. She'd secured Diane's old co-workers' records, proving Diane's history of fudged reports for cash. Combined with Michael's recordings and bank logs, it was a fortress of evidence. He hired a lawyer, Karen Ellis, known for cutting through nonsense. "They've got nothing real," Karen said, flipping through the file. "But Emily's banking on sympathy. We'll bury her with facts." The court date loomed, and Michael braced for battle. He spent evenings with Sophie and Ethan, helping with homework, playing board games, rebuilding their sense of home. Ethan opened up one night, admitting he'd overheard Emily's calls months ago. "I didn't tell you, Dad, 'cause I was scared," he mumbled. Michael hugged him tight. "You're brave, buddy. You helped me see the truth." That truth was his anchor now. In court, Emily played her part to perfection. Dressed in muted gray, she dabbed her eyes, voice trembling as she spun a tale of Michael's obsession with control. "He hacked my phone, turned everyone against me," she said, tears falling. Some spectators wavered, caught by her act. Then Karen took the floor. She played the gala audio, Emily's voice chillingly clear. "Pin one fight on him, and Diane's report seals it." Gasps rippled through the room. Bank records followed, showing Emily's secret account. Diane's bribe emails sealed the deal, her credibility crumbling. Emily's face drained of color. She stammered, "It's not what it seems." But the judge, a stern woman with no patience for theatrics, cut her off. "Mrs. Harper, your actions speak louder than your excuses." Diane, called to testify, fidgeted, her story unraveling under Karen's cross-examination. Travis, notably absent, had cut ties, leaving Emily to face the music alone. The ruling was swift. Custody to Mr. Harper, the judge declared. No alimony, given the financial misconduct. Emily's shoulders slumped, her fight gone. As Michael left the courtroom, she caught his arm, voice low. You think you've won? She hissed. He met her gaze, calm but firm. I didn't win, Emily. You lost because you chose lies. She recoiled, silent, as he walked to Sophie and Ethan, waiting with his sister. Emily's final gambit came days later. A letter arrived, accusing Michael of emotional abuse to a local paper. But the town wasn't buying it. Lisa Grant, the reporter from the gala, published a follow-up, detailing Emily's fraud with Clara's leaked evidence. The letter backfired. Emily's old friends stopped calling. Her charity board dropped her, and even her parents, once her cheerleaders, stayed silent. A viral post summed it up. Willow Creek deserves better than liars. Michael moved forward, renting a new house near Sophie's school. He framed her rainbow drawing, a reminder of what mattered. Evenings were filled with laughter, Ethan's soccer stories, Sophie's art projects. One night, Sophie hugged him, whispering, I'm glad it's just us, Dad. Michael smiled, the weight of months lifting. Me too, kiddo. Clara checked in weeks later, tying loose ends. Travis had lost clients, his reputation tainted by association. Diane faced an ethics probe, her career in tatters. Emily had left town, her social media dormant, her name a cautionary tale. Michael didn't gloat. There was no joy in her ruin, only peace in its absence. As spring bloomed in Willow Creek, Michael stood on his porch, watching Sophie and Ethan race bikes down the street. The pain of Emily's betrayal had faded, replaced by a quiet strength. He'd trusted his gut, fought for truth, and won a future for his kids. Life wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And for the first time in years, that was enough.